Welcome everybody, this is Robert Barber with Coastal Properties and Christie's International Real Estate and the Moeller&Barber Real Estate team, here with our continued series talking about financing and how it relates to real estate, and in particular, our series that I like to call Money with Alexa. And this is Alexa Price from Caliber Home Loans and Price Mortgage Group. She is one of our preferred vendors that you can spend all night long dreaming about that real estate that you see on Zillow, but guess what? If you don't have any money, and if you can't get any financing, it ain't gonna happen. And so that's why we have the wonderful people like Alexa here and her team who can help us find the money that we need in order to get into the dream home that we want or that we love. So today we're gonna do a new episode, and today is something that actually is gonna help me a lot even, because this episode is titled,
What does a processor do?
What does a processor do? I have no idea. Okay, so let's talk about what does a processor do.
So this is kind of funny because I had a client call and I said, your file's going into processing, and she said, what does that mean? And I guess in my world, I just think everyone knows what that is, okay, right? Because we deal with it every day. Mm-hmm. And I hadn't thought about explaining what role a processor plays as part of the team. And that's really what they are. They're part of our team. Okay. And an extremely important part of the team. A processor really makes sure that your loans getting processed and goes to closing on time. Okay. So think about a computer processor, right? It receives input mm-hmm. and provides the appropriate output. Okay. And that's what our processor does. All right. So realistically, it starts with a loan officer. Mm-hmm. We gather information from the client, and then once the file's in contract, okay, they find that dream home. Right. Really, we start to shift hands on the file. Okay. So you've already done your part, gotten people ready, getting them prepared. Answered questions, done estimate sheets, yeah. What exactly your payments would look like, right, that kind of thing, right, getting that all ready to mm-hmm. jump into going to contract. Correct. Now okay. You're in contract. Okay, so now. Contract's disclosed. Yep. The file's handed off to a processor. The processor is who speaks to the underwriter, okay, as far as working the file. So they go in and they review all the documents that I'm supplying or any loan officer supplying in the system, which is everything from bank statements to pay stubs to driver's licenses, tax returns. Do we have all the pages right? So, there's multiple pages to tax returns. Mm-hmm. Are the pay stubs current? They look at the dates. Are the bank statements current? They look at the dates. So that's step one. Step two is the additional documentation, appraisals, title work, mm-hmm. flood certs, homeowners mm-hmm. insurance. Are those things ordered? Are they in the file? Do they need to be updated, right? And then they submit the file to underwriting. Okay. Okay, so there's a lot to a loan that the client's not supplying to us that we're having to get from additional vendors. Okay. Correct. Then the file comes out of underwriting. Okay, so now it's gone from you to a processor who puts this package together, and then a person who is an underwriter actually takes that package and say, is this a good deal, and can we do this deal? Is that correct, kind of way that goes? Okay. Yes, and underwriting is a whole other topic. Sure. We can talk about another time. Yep. But it goes to underwriter. The underwriter then spits out this conditional loan approval uh-huh. that every realtor is like chomping at the bit to have their hands on, right? Because that means it's been through underwriting and we have a condition list. The processor then grabs that condition list mm-hmm. and then works directly with the client, the borrower, the consumer, the purchaser, whatever you would like to call them, to finalize everything the underwriter needs from you. And again, now next step, additional vendors. Those additional vendors are your third-party verifications. We have to verify your employment. Mm-hmm. We have to verify that maybe the tax returns you gave us are the ones that you filed with the IRS. Okay. We have to verify the social security number that you gave us is your social security number. We have to verify mortgage histories, rent histories, mm-hmm. things that the credit report maybe is lagging on being current. Mm-hmm. They do credit supplements for. So processing then spends a lot of time on third party. Okay. They pull verifications. They pull reports. Do you own other properties? Right. Are you entitled on something maybe as an estate process, whatever. Right. All those things the processor works on. Once they have everything back from you and all these third-party verifications, then their job is again to flip it back to the underwriter and say, this is what we're providing to you, and we're looking to you for your final blessing. Sure, we've satisfied these conditions correct. That you said need to be satisfied. Mm-hmm. That clear to close. Okay. Looking for that clear to close. Okay. So it's very important, honestly, that the buyer, the consumer, the client really has a good relationship with that processor,
Right.
because they're really key
Yep.
in that file moving along quickly and staying on time. So we always tell people, just be patient.
Yep.
The best thing you can do, just provide them what they're
Yep.
asking for.
Well, I've even had clients that won't call the processor back. And I'm like, you have to talk to the processor, because
Correct.
you're not going to close
No.
unless they get this information, because I don't care, the processor's going to do their job.
Right. Again, going back to that thought process of the processor, correct input, appropriate output.
Gotcha.
So if the appropriate output in this case is closing your file on time, call them back.
Yeah.
Answer their emails. Do it as quickly as possible.
Gotcha.
And they're actually, they're not salesmen.
Right.
Their job is just, they're not going to tell you anything you don't want to hear.
Mm-hmm.
They're great. Really, they're the guts of what's going on between us and underwriting.
Okay.
So it's wonderful to work with them. The other part is they're the ones that order that final closing disclosure.
Okay.
Right? So the file's on track, we're working for a closing, and then you hear that final closing disclosure that needs to be ordered.
Sure.
So that you've met the TRID 3-day requirements.
Mm-hmm.
So they're the ones that make that order.
Okay.
So they're then now working with our closing department and the title company to make sure that the title company and our closing department are getting their final figures.
Gotcha.
So processing plays a really crucial
Huge.
role. It's kind of an unthankful role, to be
Yeah.
honest with you. People don't really understand it. And yes, I forget that we don't know that process. But again, please call them back and give them what they're asking for. You really want them to be on
Yeah.
your side, because they're an important role.
Yeah. And at the same time, if you're having any issues with your processor or the processing or even getting information, don't wait till the last minute. Talk to your realtor. Get your realtor involved. Say, hey, listen, I'm having some trouble. I can't find these documents. Do you have any advice? Talk to the loan officer. Don't just sit there and sit paralyzed because you don't have what the processor's asking you for.
Be scared to reply.
Get back with your loan officer and get back with your realtor. Have those conversations, and we'll work through it together.
Mm-hmm.
But don't be paralyzed by the process of processing.
Exactly.
That's awful.
Right?
That's such a terrible pun. That's so terrible. Is that it?
That's it.
All right. Well, that's today's episode. What is a processor? And I appreciate you being here, Alexa, and always educating us, because through education we can do better deals. So thanks.
Appreciate it.
All right. I hope that was helpful for you guys. We're going to link all the information up down below, including the transcripts and contact information for Alexa and her team. I highly recommend you call them because they're fantastic. But if you need any information, you can always get in touch with me too. But again, Alexa, thanks.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Okay, hang on for the next episode. Here it comes.